Hello.
Clean.
What?
That's the whole intro?
Yeah,
That's
Alright.
the intro. We're
yeah.
doing it. Hello.
He's
Oh,
not gonna
see
introduce any of us or anything.
Welcome to
Uh,
Cranberry's 500th episode.
I
hello.
was expecting so much more, dang.
Yeah.
Uh, I don't know. I think this is like enough, right? Just go, getting you guys here all together in a video. I think it's kind of cool. No? Okay,
Yeah.
whatever. Fine. Fuck it.
Um,
It's
yeah,
been a while.
It
yeah.
has been a little while. Me, Voice, we did a video not that long ago. Maybe
We
like 3 months ago.
y You and I did the all cards tier list for the 2 year of Monster Train, which I think
Hmm.
was May.
Yeah, yeah.
That video was probably one of the worst things I've ever recorded in my life.
You think so?
I
We
don't know how
sat
you
there and
survived it.
we talked for 6 hours. We started recording at 6 PM and finished at midnight.
I had a great time the whole time.
It was fun, but also at the end of it, I went, "Oh my god, what the hell?"
That was one of my favorite videos of all time.
I'm glad you thought so. I don't think I could ever do another one, but at the
Uh,
same time, I would definitely do another one because then I can complain about it more.
Now, I will say before we started the recording here, I did forget to balance the audio a bit, so I'm gonna just tune Gabriot up
Yeah.
a little bit.
I almost suggested you do that, but I figured you had it covered.
Well, now we have it covered.
See, my plan was to talk really quiet, and then after you did that, I'm going to start shouting.
It's a good plan. It's a good plan.
I'm
Anyway,
gonna max my gain real quick.
anyway, stop sabotaging the video. So what we're actually here for this great 500th episode is to talk about Monster Train, all of our favorite game, collectively definitely the best one, and talk about how we feel about just the game in its pretty much final state. I'm pretty sure Shiny Shoes basically said, "Yeah, that's it. We're not you can't make us update this game." So, yeah. Anyone wanna anyone have any just overall thoughts about the game? How do you what's your general feeling of the game right now? How it is?
So first, is this actually your 500th video?
This is my 500th Monster Train episode.
Incredible. Yeah, I mean, the only thing I'll say is I actually think they are going to do something because they've confirmed it for mobile, right? So they have to at least do something for that. But beyond that, I think the game's good, right? If I'm thinking about it, the current state of the game is it's okay. I mean, you can win all the runs; it's possible.
Maybe you can. Freaking tough guy.
Well, theoretically, right?
Yeah, yeah. That's something I want to talk about later too, because I want to do a separate thing about the current, I guess, meta of Monster Train, which is high shards or 200 shard runs. But we'll save, I guess, that discussion for later because I want to talk about the game itself here. Um, yeah, I think the game is good. I like it. A lot of fun. Anyone else?
Thinking about like, can you imagine doing like a big Transcendum run on mobile and then your phone just explodes?
Like it overheats.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like that's what I think about when I think about this game coming to mobile. It struggles on my PC.
It struggles for me
Yeah.
sometimes, but not that often.
Like sometimes I see a little lag when I play Transcendent too much, and it's like, what the hell's a phone gonna do to that?
Um, I don't know.
For
I
elections.
think it'll handle it just well. Like,
Yeah, we'll see.
They might have to like turn off the combat preview or something. I don't know what they'll do, but
is that really intensive for like how the game processes things? The combat preview.
well, that's the whole reason it lags in the first place on any of those things is it's recalculating a million back and forth actions. It's because you have like with Transcendent, it's like 500 summon triggers or something, all processing instantaneously. So
Okay,
it also happens with like Shroud Spike and some other things too.
that's kind of interesting. Going back to the actual update itself for mobile. Do you think there's going to be any balance changes in there as well? Like probably. I feel like probably not.
Hmm.
Right? Like I think.
Yeah, probably not. They haven't said anything, but this was some weird sneak stuff they did where it was like this is not the end for Monster Train, also mobile. And I'm like, I don't know how to read what they said. I don't know what that means other than maybe there's something and we just don't know. I have no clue.
Yo, Monster Train 2.
My uninformed prediction is just based on kind of the life cycle of some other indie games. I'm kind of with Dusk here. I wouldn't suspect, or I wouldn't be surprised if it does get an update, but I would probably think it comes at least a year out. Just based on the other games like Into the Breach or Slay the Spire. It's like they'll have this huge quiet period and then they come out with a big update that more or less I didn't really expect them when they came out, but I wasn't really following the games at that point. That's my prediction at least.
Yeah, that would track. I mean, they did send out that survey, right? Which had a bunch of interesting questions, things like endless mode or whatever the questions were. I don't even remember
Right,
them all at this point, but
right.
they had some real interesting ideas on there. And if even a part of those came out, that I mean, that could be a cool like surprise DLC, right? I have no clue.
Yeah.
And I know that this game has been like lucrative for Shiny Shoe to the point where they can keep people hired and they can make a new game. So I don't think they'll fully abandon it, but I do think they want to move on to something else for at least a little bit.
That's
And I guess
interesting.
in
Sorry,
yeah, I think
Gabriel. Other God damn it.
I think we're syncing here. You and I are syncing here.
Yeah.
Cranberry, shut up.
No, I was just gonna say I think having the game on multiple platforms also complicates actually doing updates.
That's true because you have to push them to different versions, and that makes it very difficult. I know that that was a big struggle for Slay the Spire, where they
Right,
had what was it, the Log4j exploit that came up, and
Yeah.
right.
they didn't
Mhm.
even patch that on mobile for like 8 months or something. It was horrible.
I think I remember a similar situation with Nuclear Throne a while back. This was when I was, speedrunning it. I was really into it, and there was like a really big glitch in the game, and there was some sort of hiccup with one iteration of the game where they just couldn't get it to work, and it took them like a year, for Vlambeer to update it finally. But yeah, that definitely can cause some complications for sure. Um, so I forget who it was, but someone mentioned Slay the Spire. One thing I thought would be fun to talk about is, why do any of you play this game over Slay the Spire?
Jawworm.
Jawworm, fair.
It's easy for me. I mean, it's because I can record a run in an hour and a half tops, whereas Slay the Spire would take me like ages, 4 hours or something.
You could segment it into like 3 different sections in theory, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can, but that just doesn't feel good. I feel like the right way of doing it is, well, this is maybe neither here nor there, but I think the right way of doing it would be like splitting off and just only showing the useful parts and not like literally every combat. The idea of talking for a 4-hour episode of Slay the Spire sounds crazy, but I
That
still
that
do play it. I play it on mobile, so I guess there's that.
mhm.
But
that is like an interesting idea, right? Just kind of edit it down to like the significant moments of a run rather than just like the entire mundane, slog of it. Um,
right, yeah.
maybe this is a controversial opinion. I'll say it. I just like Monster Train more than Slay the Spire.
Um,
I feel like the upgrade system in Monster Train combined with the draft the unit draw priority stuff, and then also having your champion just makes the game feel more consistent and more like you have like just more control over what happens in the game. Like it's a deck builder. There's supposed to be variance, but sometimes, and obviously there's like the intrinsic mechanic in Slay the Spire too, for certain cards, but sometimes it's very annoying. I feel like so. I don't know. Maybe I'm just not good enough
uh,
at Slay the Spire. I think we would probably all agree here that the Ascension 25 heart runs, or Ascension 20, sorry, Ascension 20 heart runs are probably harder on average than even like something like 200 shard runs in Monster Train, right?
yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Mm-hmm. They're kind of comparable, but I think still Slay the Spire pretty tough, which is kind of why it's annoying. So I don't
Yeah.
know.
Watcher excluded at least.
Mm-hmm.
I think once you get good with Watcher, it's actually a bit closer to Covenant 25. Still not nearly there, but like I can win with Watcher. I think like over 100% more uh, than I can with the other ones, and I've played Watcher probably 10% the amount of time than the other ones. But I think I'm with you, Cranberry. Like I actually legitimately like Monster Train better, and both games are by far my two most played games in my life. But I think Monster Train is just more fun, and it's to me it's less unfair. Like I just feel like Slay the Spire is downright unfair on Ascension 20 a lot of the time.
Mhm.
Um, I know that there's technically like 2 or 3 players in the world that have dedicated their lives to Slay the Spire that can win at like 70 to 80 or like above 80% win rate, but like for the rest of us, quote unquote, it's just not even remotely attainable to even get there. And like, I don't know, it just really feels like I've had runs where it's like I'll hit an Act 1 event and I get 2 curses into my deck right from the get go, and it's like, oh well, okay, guess I'm gonna lose this one. Just a lot of unfair stuff that can happen.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
think. Go ahead.
For me, Slay the Spire. So one, I'm not good enough at Slay the Spire. I know that, and I didn't really. So I mean, so I played a lot of Monster Train on stream, and Slay the Spire. I put 957 hours into Slay the Spire on stream, and that was probably over the course of like July 2019 to like July 2020, maybe probably July 2019 to when Monster Train came out, and so in that regard, I'm just like I'm a little burnt out on the game because the amount of effort I would have to put in to unlearn all of the bad habits that I have from just playing the game fast and goofing off is insurmountable. And also, the Slay the Spire culture on Twitch.television is, you know, look, card game viewers, as I'm sure we're all well aware, they're a certain type of person, and when you don't do things optimally, sometimes they will tell you, and sometimes they won't tell you in a nice way. And you hear that long enough, and you go, "All right, I'm going to go play a game I'm better at." And I just don't feel like I want to put the time in to Slay the Spire to become good enough to be like, okay, I understand now.
That's another great point you kind of brought up. It's like to be like really good at Slay the Spire, you can't really play fast, which to
Yeah.
me just kind of sucks. It's like you see the top win rate players, and 3 hours is like a fast run for them, and it
Hmm.
can be like 5 to 6 hours on some of their runs. It's just miserable, in my
Wasn't it
opinion.
Yeah.
wasn't it Crimson Blur who had like a 12-hour run or something?
Yeah, I think it was Life
That's
Coach
about
had
right.
some like really long runs too.
Yeah.
Oof, I cannot stand that. I'm already slow compared to other players. Like when I play Slay the Spire on mobile, it takes me a week to finish one run because I put it away and pick it back up. Like unplayable.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, the thing is, like, Monster Train is a game, and I'll talk about it gameplay wise, why I feel this way, I guess. Monster Train's decisions are significantly uh less, I guess. Like in Monster Train, it's a lot easier to pinpoint, oh, I went to the steel shop here and I should have gone to the magic shop instead to hedge my bets. Whereas in Slay the Spire, it's like, oh, well, on combat 3 of the first act, I took 5 damage I didn't need to take and then picked a wrong card and then I died on the collector. And it's like, yeah, I'm not gonna see that.
Hmm.
It's a lot harder to diagnose, oh, this is specifically where I went wrong in Slay the Spire until you really get it.
Yeah, and a part of that comes from just the number of decisions to make throughout a run, right?
Yeah.
You
Hmm.
have so much fewer of them to make in Monster Train, which I think it's more manageable. And that I think is a big point in Monster Train's favor as far as playability. At least for me, going on over 2,000 hours, is that I can approach a run and play it and analyze it afterwards and remember all of the key points and know each and every mistake and which ones were the most important. And especially when you're recording like a game like this, you will make mistakes because you're also, talking and you're actually trying to go at a certain pace and things like that. And because of those factors, you can make small errors, and in Slay the Spire, that can kill you, and it sucks.
I agree.
Speak for yourself. I've never made a mistake in this game.
Yeah.
um, one thing I think that's really cool that differentiates Monster Train 2 from Slay the Spire is that I feel like the way the game plays is you kind of have like checklists you're going through, right? You need to have a unit that can do X, Y, and Z. It needs to kill heavies, open up the back line for you in some way, or maybe just kill them as well. You need to have X amount of, sustainability in your run so your units can survive a couple rounds of Relentless, things like that. There's all these things that you have like, tangible goals you're trying to reach. And I feel like in Slay the Spire, at least for me, and maybe it's just because I'm not good at the game or not good enough at the game, but I feel like everything's very I don't know, hard to like checklist, right? It's hard to figure out like, oh, I need this character to do I need 8 strength by turn 3 so I can start limit breaking so I can outscale this boss, right? It's a lot more it's a lot I guess harder to figure out what your run needs to succeed. Every time I play like say a barricade run, I'm just like, oh, take barricade, take block, win. And I don't know how I'm really doing it. I don't know how much block I need to win in Monster Train because like units are pretty consistent. They're not like identical every run, but like it's like, oh, I know what heavy has, 290 health. I know that whatever the top floor sweeps for 10 damage if I say at around 100 shards, etc. Stuff like that. Like there's everything is kind of like going to be pretty consistent. Going into the run what you need to do, and I enjoy that, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I regularly am talking about my 200 shard runs like, okay, I need to handle 17 damage on top floor sweep. Or on my 100 shard runs, I'm talking, all right, it's fine that Primordium has 10 life because I only take 9 at 100 shards on sweep. There's just little things like that that you can play around. It's a much more manageable experience. And I think you could get there with Slay the Spire. There's just so much. And a lot of it is not obvious. You have to study the wiki in order to get there to know, the exact percentages that a creature is going to do one thing or another. And you can then make statistical analyses about what you should do in a moment. And it just takes a lot more work that seems unattainable unless you're going to invest an astronomical amount of time into it.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. It's like you pretty much have to have been playing 3 years, all all of your time invested into it to even get to the point where you'd be like quote unquote competitive at it.
I think that the like the thing that Slay the Spire suffers from is that it was the first. Slay the Spire is like the proto roguelike deck builder. And so every deck builder that comes after it can look at it and go, here's the things that Slay the Spire did right. The difficulty is something that people really want, and then here are the things that Slay the Spire does wrong. And mostly it's like visual clarity. There's nothing like Monster Train's logbook in Slay the Spire. Like there's compendiums and such, but it's a way easier to look at things in Monster Train and go, here's specifically how this interacts. I think anyway.
There are some visual clarity issues in Monster Train 2 though every now and
Oh
then.
yeah, I mean
Yeah.
Monster Train. Yeah, I mean it's a great game, but it's also a mess at times.
Mhm.
But yeah,
I guess moving on from that
Mhm.
general topic. Uh what do you guys think is I don't want to say the best card because I think some of the best cards in the game are kind of boring. What are after all this time? What are some of your favorite cards to see? What are your like? Oh man, I'm excited to play this card on this run.
Lodestone Totem. I
uh,
every single time I see Lodestone Totem, I'm like, oh hell yes, let's go.
That is interesting.
I was expecting a Steel Singer from you, Dusk.
He's actually my favorite unit still, but Lodestone Totem is just such a fun unit to play. I love just having like 3 of them and watching sap number go burr. It's just so satisfying.
Definitely. Yeah.
When you sorry.
No,
Um,
I was just like being a yes man pretty much there.
I actually had a Lodestone Totem run. Well, technically it was today, but as far as this video is concerned, yesterday. I had a Lodestone Totem run. Put it into. Do you prefer putting Lodestones into a unit as an infusion, or do you try to play them raw?
It really depends on the circumstance. Sometimes if I can get away with it, I'll put it into something else. Like a good one is put Lodestone Totem into Nameless Siren is better than the other way around, pretty
Mhm.
much universally. It's also dependent on how much space you have because you can take advantage of Lodestone Totem being one space. So it's and this is part of why I like it, right? It's a great unit. It's so strong. I feel very confident in a run when I see it, but there's still some decision making to make, and your runs can look different with it. And I like that a lot.
Follow up question. Oh,
Counter
sorry. Yeah, what's up?
counterpoint to that, Dusk. The animation on the Nameless into the Lodestone is unbeatable.
That's true. You've got a good point. She does the like swimmy swing at the for like 10 seconds, which that's still a bug that happens, but it's fine.
Okay. Here's a question I have about Lodestone that I'm curious how you feel about it. You're playing Lodestone. You kill Talos or Daedalus. Energy or card draw first.
100 if you have Lodestone Totem at that point, you have to take energy. It's just a much smarter
Mhm.
choice. It it'll make your run better, I promise you, even if I don't have to explain all the reasons why.
I mean,
Because you're
I have
really
a general understanding of it,
yeah,
right? You first
yeah.
off, in Divinity, you need to put down probably at least some sap turn one. So you need to have enough energy to play your champion, the totem, and then spells afterwards. So
Yeah, and technically, it's also based on the ramp of the mid game as well. Typically, that's when you're going to be doing your either some kind of an infusion, your some kind of a duplicate for that run. And as soon as you have two of them, you need to be able to play them if you have Ember Drain on second turn, and that's when three Ember becomes like mandatory. So,
mhm.
but that's like one of my favorite cards. Definitely one I love seeing. And then yeah, Steel Singer's great. A lot of rare units in general are fun. Some of them suck. I still hate Apex Imp. I still hate Morsel Maid, but
You don't do my man dirty like that. I love my run being 50 minutes of watching animations play. Come
Yeah,
on.
it's tough because on one hand, Morsel made at least when I was first doing the YouTubes, Morsel made had some of my highest views videos. People wanted to see the new units, do what they do. But man, it sucks playing Morsel made. It's so
oh
annoying.
yeah. The rare units still show in metrics right now. I can measure and be like, okay, if I have any of the rare units in a thumbnail, the run performs markedly better on YouTube, which is wild.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think it's probably because people they're rare, so they don't show up as often,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
people want to see how well they operate, right?
Yeah, so people who aren't watching every episode, they're gonna see that, oh, something cool happened in this one, and they'll check it
Mhm.
out, right?
But I would say that Apex Imp I still like playing because it can do big numbers go burr pretty well. And it doesn't take a million years to do it, right? Morsel Maid it's very tedious. Apex Imp is just like, oh, I gave it multi quick and I infused it with a steelworker and I duped it 2 times and put them on a floor together. Go. um,
Yeah.
so I don't know. It's I still I get it. I get like that. You put a Steel Singer as your favorite unit.
Oh yeah, Steel Singer is my absolute favorite unit. I think it's complex enough that I just enjoy it, and it's the one thing that really stands out to me as permanent scaling is one of my favorite things in Monster Train is finding ways of playing a mini game to optimize small improvements to my cards like that. And when it triggers on the rejuvenate trigger, it's very complex because you want to maximize the amount of regen and also maybe the amount of procs that you have, but you don't have them in the front. Maybe you have something like sentient, so you got to keep it alive. And there's just a lot of cool stuff. And then I love that ring 8 slam where you dupe this 200 times 2 whatever, and you just slam the divinity. It just feels real good, like you get to see the consequences of your actions succeed, basically.
I feel like I got unlucky when it comes to Steel Singer because every time I see it, I'm playing Root Seeds, and I feel like it is hard to make it work without the restores. I know it's possible, but it feels like it really doesn't work like as well as it could unless you have the restores. I don't know.
Yeah, it can be tricky. I think that using it with root seeds is it's an experience, something you have to learn how to do because a lot of times you're going to be clicking heal cards anyway, and you don't need many for him to win you the run. You do need a lot if you want him to be humongo number, of course, but you can still win without him being hyper massive, right?
Okay. Dust, that's
Uh,
enough of your
I,
favorite cards. I don't want to hear from you anymore.
Yeah, I've been
uh,
Uh,
talking too much.
yeah.
yeah.
Gabriot, what's your favorite card?
You know, I'm gonna cheat a little bit here and say a combination of two cards. I'm gonna go with a Thorn Hollow with a Shadow Eater infusion.
Yeah, you're disqualified.
Yeah, I
No.
like that one. Come on, that's good.
No, okay, that is interesting. Um, it's also wild.
It's it's not the greatest, but it is usable. And I think the thing about it is it's just super fun when you pull it off. And also, I don't know, the more and more I did it, I think it's maybe more usable than we give it credit for. It exists in a in a combo that just isn't good typically, unless you're running Primordium. But it's a nice out to have in a combo that often struggles, especially if you're like restores and plinks or something.
Yeah, it's good. I like it a lot. The real challenge with those Shadow Eater combos is just that they're difficult to assemble.
Right.
You have to pick one and then be like, all right, I'm watching out for the other one, and then your run has to not suck if you miss the other one, right?
Right.
And you have a Thorn Hollow or a Shadow Eater, and you're no combo piece. So that's the real challenge, I think. It's rare for me to go, all right, well, my run sucks, and the best unit right now is a Thorn Hollow. Oh, wow, I saw Shadow Eater, and oh, God, there's a Shroud Spike. We're doing it, you know? It's just one of those things.
Yeah, I think typically I would have to see the Thorn Hollow first to make everything kind of naturally work. It's hard for me to YOLO a Shadow Eater before it, just
Mm.
because it Shadow Eater kind of sucks in the combo outside of that.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, Thorn Hollow also kind of sucks. I think
How
considerably less,
dare
but
you?
still.
How dare you?
How dare you?
It's not his fault that they put Patient Seraph, Chase Seraph, and Arcus in the game.
Yeah, it's tough world for Thorn Hollow. I think
Yeah,
he would actually be like killer good if his infusion were just a copy of his ability, though. The
yeah, they
fact,
did him
Yeah.
dirty.
yeah, the fact that you can't double up the triggers is really what kills the speed there.
It's a fun question of what spikes number does Thorn Hollow have to be strong, and I think the answer is 5. 5 per rejuvenate, I think, is where
Oh,
he
they're just
really
to say
starts to
5 total.
take
I'm like,
off.
what the heck are you talking
Yeah,
about?
Yeah,
no, he needs exactly 5 spikes to kill the 15 times 2s, and then he's good.
yeah, I think that's fair. In current balance with the infusion being what it is, I would agree. But I do think that if the infusion copied the ability, then the self-infuse gets you to 6, and I think that's good enough too.
Yep, exactly. I
Mm.
think that either self-infuse or just bring him up to 5. But I think it's interesting. I feel like, quick off-topic aside, I think that this game needs a balance pass to just fix every shitty infusion, because there's so many that are feel so bad to me. Like, you would never pick that Thorn Hollow infusion.
Yeah, it's rough. I agree.
I'm looking at Consumer of Crowns when I say this, though, really. Talk about a guy who got done dirty.
I
Hey, what about
forgot.
Wilting Sapwood?
Yeah.
Ugh, ugh,
I,
the worst card. I hate wilting sapwood.
I forgot I had the game up this whole time. I said at the start before we recorded that I would like pull up in the logbook the units we were talking about. Just forgot the whole time.
So
Yeah,
has
nice.
so
You're
has the
gonna have
whole video just been
The
like the
menu,
front
the
screen? All
menu,
right,
the straight up
incredible,
the train.
Just fix it in
incredible.
post.
No.
All right, well, while you guys were talking, I pulled up the logbook and I went through and I tagged every card that I think is in the running for me.
Okay.
It's a big list, but I think that if I were to pick the finalist for me for my favorite card in the game is probably Hot Shark.
Okay.
I As a person, I have felt a lot of despair throughout my time with Monster Train. I've had a lot of cards betray me and I feel like I've lost runs that I feel like I should win. You know what cards never betrayed me? Hot Shark.
It
That's a
is
He
really
a
good
always
point.
always does exactly what he says he's gonna do. Sometimes I pick Shattered Shell, and then all of a sudden I don't have enough damage, and I die to a boss. You know what Hot Shark does? He kills backline, frostbites the enemies. What a great guy!
The
Mhm.
number of times he's just like saved my run and become my entire line is too many to count.
Yeah.
It's such a good unit.
Very good.
I think that it's a lot of fun from a game design perspective to look at all of the cards that got like unchanged cards from before the DLC that got worse with the DLC, and then look at the short list of cards that got a lot better. I think Hot Shark got crazy better in the DLC, and he was already really good. But
Yeah, totally agreed. I mean, especially when you have to go wide on combats like the Divinity, I think it
mhm,
matters a lot that he performs better in those circumstances.
exactly. He takes like, especially with Endless, he takes like 100 damage, half health an entire wave, and then comes back for round two.
Yeah, and he's really flexible too, which is great. I mean, you can use him as a tank, you can use him as a backline clear, you can use him to kill entire waves.
Hmm.
It's really good.
Yeah. The other units that are on the list for me are Big Sludge, Bounty Stalker, and Alpha Fiend.
You motherfucker.
I love Alpha Fiend Cranberry. I'm
No,
his
no.
strongest
Look, you
soldier.
don't understand. You're taking. I was gonna go next, and I was gonna talk about 2 units, and they
Ah,
were Alpha
sorry.
Fiend and Bounty Stalker. You
Well,
motherfucker.
you should have stopped me.
I should have stopped you. Okay, my 2 units are Bounty Stalker and Alpha Fiend,
Glacial Seal.
It's
not
just
Glacial Seal.
copying me, huh, Cranberry?
Okay, listen. I'll explain my logic. I think
Hmm.
that we talked about there was pretty interesting cards that are most improved and least improved by the DLC. I
Hmm.
think Bounty Stalker is a good argument for most improved because the
Oh
infusion
yeah,
system gave it access to the draft infusion,
yeah,
which
that
is
shit's nuts.
very nuts, very good. Everyone loves Bounty Stalker now. And I think Alpha Fiend is probably the unit maybe most hurt in the entire game by the DLC. Maybe debatable, but I feel like it. I'm Alpha Fiend gaming. I love my Alpha Fiend, my favorite card in the game probably. But I got to admit, almost unplayable in the DLC outside of like a weird like sweep build, pretty much. So
I
I
I've
don't
been
know.
having some success lately with Alpha Fiend.
It's always scary to try to play it as
Yeah,
itself.
yeah. So I think that if you the situation where I pick Alpha Fiend is like I go to the first banner, it's Hellhorn, it's Alpha Fiend, and the shop has multi-strike, and that run, you're like one rage card away from Alpha Fiend's self-scaling comboing with rage enough to win you the run, and then you just need to keep him alive.
Anyone else thoughts?
I have not played an Alpha Fiend run in ages, it feels like.
They
I've
give him
just
trample. It's
I've
fun.
just yeah, I've just like not had the stars align. It's actually interesting because I haven't had a great like quick sweep run in a while either. Just kind of interesting. Like
It's like
Shatter
all I
Chill.
play. I've played like 3 of those this week.
But yeah, Alpha Fiend, love him. But I think maybe do you guys have any other units you think of that like have suffered the most from the DLC?
Uh,
Crucible Collector.
Consumer of Crowns.
Oh, Consumer of Crowns. Was
He
it?
was playable before the DLC.
Uh,
If
maybe I
you got
guess I don't know.
multi-strike and sketches and you play 4 of that unit and you probably win.
You can do that in the DLC too.
It loses, he has 40 HP.
I had a run the other day. It was Demon Fiends. It was 4 Demon Fiends and sketches in that one.
That one?
If that can win,
What the
Consumer can
hell?
also win.
How did that win? What did you do?
I don't remember, but it was crazy.
There's
Would
It
you
no
was
way
like
really
that
cool.
would you reverse cave in with
No,
Light's Gift?
no, it was normal. It was just four boys on the floor together. What
There's
did it
no
do? I
way.
don't remember.
that does not win on its own, so you had to have some stuff going
I can
on.
pull it up real quick. Hold on. What did I do in that run?
I mean, what was that
It
baseline? That's like 200, 400 damage?
it was not. It was sketchy. I think one of them ended up dying before the relentless ended. In the Divinity, but it won. It got there.
Just one? I would imagine like 3 of them are dead at
Maybe
the
two
end
of
of
them died. I don't
Relentless.
remember. Hold on. It wasn't that long ago. It was a couple weeks ago, I think. Please, while I'm doing this, keep talking about bounty. Talk about Bounty Stalker while I'm doing this.
I got a whole list of cards here for honorable mentions if you want me to just go through these
Yeah,
real quick.
sure.
Cards I like to see, Ensnare. Literally never bad. What a great card.
hmm
Yeah, that's a good one. It's interesting how hard it is to like think about my favorite spells,
Yeah.
whereas the units are very defining parts of a run, so I can immediately jump on the units I love to see.
Mhm. 2 very easy picks. If I had to pick favorite spell, I think I would pick Echo Transfer. That's
Ooh, that's a good
yeah,
one.
Mhm.
plus 15 attack. Every time I see it, I just go, oh, sick. I don't have to think about scaling my attack this game. It's right there. Also, honorable mention Echoes of the Past. That's
That's a good
6 attack per echo. Up until now, I've just been assuming Cranberry's been pulling him
Yeah.
up, but we should yeah.
I'm trying to figure out why these demon fiends have 300 attack each. Hold on.
What did you do?
What did you do?
Well, I'm trying to figure it out.
Well, you
They-
couldn't
they
have played
seem-
Fledgling in.
They seem to have a decent amount of rage.
What
How did they
card
get?
could
How
you
did they
play?
get this? Oh,
It
you
must
know,
be a Branded Warrior
yeah,
Infusion.
it was a Branded Warrior Infusion.
Mhm.
And then I had what's it called? The last yell, angry
Last
yell, last stand.
Oh,
I had
yeah,
last
yeah.
stand, and then I had a Nexus Spike that also had last stand in it.
Yeah, hit him with Angry Yell. Can we mod to rename the card to that?
How long have you played this game? Cranberry?
500 episodes.
Dude, hit him with the Angry Yell, dude. I'm gonna do that every time I play that card.
But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that run did win. I think 1 or 2 of the fiends died, and I started reforming them on the top floor because it was also a melting run.
Mm.
But yeah, that worked. I'm a god gamer. If it can work with Demon Fiend, it can work with Consumer.
Yeah, all you gotta do is roll Branded Warrior Infusion, multi-strike, sketches, yell, and
Oh, you know
then a
what was
Nexus Spike on
what was
yell.
interesting though? They didn't have quick. That's important to note. There was no quick. It was
How did
like
they not die?
multi large stone.
That's like 80 HP.
Yeah,
What armor card did you have?
like none. I think I had like I can double check it again. Hold on.
You
There was
have
not
to,
much
like,
armor.
That falls apart in like 4 minutes, I feel like.
No, because like they scaled is the thing. Oh, I had a March of Shields apparently.
Yeah.
Oh, I was swapping them around. That's what I was doing. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
I was
there you go.
I was tank
Mhm.
swapping with them.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Oh man, what a great run. Anyway, Bounty Stalker. How about Bounty Stalker? That I think is the most benefited from the DLC, maybe more than any other card. Hot Shark is debatable, I guess there. But I love Bounty Stalker.
Do we count the rework of Hellhorn banners as a DLC transition?
What does that mean?
Like remember how bad Rail Beater used to be?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. That's a great point.
Rail Beater is really good now. That is
Rail
true.
Beater was a piece of shit.
Yep, that's true.
And now it's like one of the best in my opinion.
I think
but
that's
think
fair.
about the 4 multi-strike carousel runs you could do with Rail Beater before.
It was pretty satisfying to watch it multi-strike units.
Yeah, and then go, oh wait, this is just worse.
Yeah, I guess we should
Just
clarify because
dead.
hey, people
Helping
might not
the
know
enemy.
about what Rail Beater used to do for the record, right? People could be watching post Rail Beater change.
True.
Way back in the old days, Rail Beater did not cause melee weakness. It would knock an enemy from the front into the back of the lineup. It was basically knockback Talos, but on your side.
It was
And
so bad.
it was
I try
pretty
to forget
bad.
these days. Oh, that's rough.
It's
My-
crazy to think about how far the game has come.
Oh yeah. I think my hot take is that the old state of Hellhorn banners was even worse than the current Umbra banner state.
That's pretty hot.
It was
I
pretty
mean-
tough. I mean, Horn Warrior was just a 30 damage slap. He was
Oh, yeah.
terrible.
We do have to give, I always say thank you, Dusk, for for saving Horned Warrior. Was probably one of the actual worst units in the game before, and now it's a champion.
I also say thank you, Dusk, for changing the name of the Wormkin starting card.
No,
Oh,
that
God,
you're
yeah.
a bastard for.
Absolutely.
Horned Warrior, if you don't know, Horned Warrior used to be a 35, or was it 33? I don't remember what it was exactly.
It was a 30 attack, 5 HP.
Yeah, it was a 30 attack unit, no multi, and it was stinky. And then Dusk was like, "Hey, what if I made Monster Train?" And the devs were like, "Sure," and they let him.
Yeah, that's exactly how that
That's how it
went.
went.
Yeah,
That's how the
I was
conversation
there.
went. Yeah,
I
Voyix
was
was
there.
there.
I listened.
Wait, so those 3 units that got reworked, that was inspired by Dusk?
Well,
So-
Horned Warrior was for sure. Rail Beater, Dusk, did you do that?
Horned Warrior was, yes. Rail Beater, I probably shouldn't say too much, but I participated in that
Okay.
design decision.
Got it.
Yes.
Got it. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. We can read between the lines here.
Yeah.
The transcendent nerf was also you, which I think was a good nerf.
That was me. Yeah, sorry.
No, I don't
So-
mind. I think that was a solid nerf. But I
Yeah.
think it was
Yeah.
too abusable before, and now I think it's still incredibly strong. So whatever.
Yeah, one of the things, I mean, that's kind of an interesting one to think about. It's all about we it was important to keep the card very fun, and the way it behaves is fun. So I think the nerf that ended up happening is probably the best of both worlds. It hit it a little bit, so it's a little harder to play, but it still goes out of control and people still love to play it. So
Yeah. Yeah, I think all of those changes were really good changes.
What's the third one? I can't think of it.
The
Steelworker.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
AoE armor.
That was so
Yeah.
much better too. That's a crazy good one.
that was not me. I'll say that was not me, but that is a good change. Yes,
And you got the name of Fracture changed.
I did
Yeah.
do that. Yeah.
That's
Again, was it the beta was when it was for the friends and foes? Is that when it happened? Or not even friends and foes? That was actually just the
It
DLC,
was,
right?
Yeah, it was
I
DLC.
think it was the beta.
The open train, or whatever they called it.
Yeah.
So way back then, everyone was having a great time testing out the Wormkin cards in beta. Everyone was having a great time, and the best thing about it was that one of the starting cards for the Wormkin, now known as Fracture, was called Sharded, and
best thing.
everybody loved the card, and everyone thought it was
Absolutely
a great name.
hated it.
Everyone thought it was a very funny, good name for no real reason, nothing weird. And then somebody had to go, "Oh, doesn't sharded sound like sharded?" And when I say that, obviously you knew those were two different words. Sharded, as in like glasses, like glass shards, versus trying to fart and pooping your pants by mistake. Two very different words, and I don't know why we can't just have nice things. Dusk.
Can you imagine? God, I actually could not imagine the mental damage I would take if I had to listen to like a year and a half of Twitch chat going, haha, he said sharded every time I played that
Oof.
fucking clan. I don't think I would have made it.
I would have a hard time recording Wormkin at all. I would just be like, oh, I can't say this card. I would just call it the Wormkin starter or something.
Yeah, you just have to come up with another name like Hot Shark.
You're talking to the guy who invented JO crystals. I'd be calling it sharded 24/7.
Yeah, Cranberry, but we're not all agents of chaos like you.
You could still call it that, you know.
No, but people will just think I'm a weirdo, and they'll be like, "Why do you keep talking about? Why do you keep talking about shards, you weirdo?" It wouldn't make any
Great
sense.
point.
That is one of my favorite things about this game is that I started calling something JO crystals, and I've had so many people ask me, "What is a JO crystal?" It's so
Including
good.
the devs on Twitter.
Oh, I forgot about that too.
This guy
That's
forgot
true.
about that too. Come
I
on,
did forget
man.
about that. Oh man. Moving on. We
Okay,
kind
right,
of
I got
talked
more
about it.
cards.
Yeah, you got more cards? What are your more cards? Sorry, my bad. My bad.
So one, I won't go through them all, but we didn't talk about any of the very fun event cards. So I want to give a shout out to my good buddy Dante. Love that guy.
He's cool.
And probably I know Cranberry. I know this is also going to set you off on another angry rant, but for the greater good, I also really
Fuck you.
like to play.
Nah, you knew this would get me on an angry rant because I don't
Nah.
like it.
Dude, I love that card. It's so fun. You summon
Why-
a little goon.
Why can't we have nice things?
Yeah, why can't the game just functionally not work as intended?
Yes, exactly. I want to
Because it
put enemies on my side of the pyre. Why is that too bad?
That
Whatever.
was so ignoring all of the mechanical aspects of it. It was a nightmare for the code base. And you can see remnants of it. If anyone who's watching this is a modder, go open up the code base and just look around for where the game was broken half open by For the Greater Good's original form. It was a great choice for them to change it.
I get it. But I liked the card in its original iteration. Despite like, I get it. You're right. You shouldn't put units on your side of the pyre room. I agree. And I would have loved it if the card had been fixed. And I get it that I get ultimately that it was more or less impossible for them to do, so they opted to change the card. but I thought the mechanics that it had were really fun and cool. Being able to like tactically remove units from the floor so that way you could take like a mini boss in the divinity fight was always super cool and fun. And whenever it did work, I felt like a big brain genius boy who now had a 700 HP tank on their team. But I get why it had to be changed. I'm just sad about it and angry, and I don't like being taunted about it, Voyix.
Man, I just put it on the list because I think it's a fun card. I like it when I get a completely useless unit and then go, damn, why didn't I take melee weakness?
Mm-hmm.
I had a run where that actually popped off in an important way recently. It's pretty rare for me to skip one of the other upgrades, though. They're so strong.
Yeah, I had a run recently where I was playing the chef that gives attack per echo on your floor, and I was winning because I kept generating like multi-strike and stealth units from For the Greater Good, and then I got to the divinity and I generated like a clergyman and a clergyman, and then I died, and I went, damn dude, come on, For the Greater Good.
Just hit, right?
Yeah, come on, brother. Like, it's my fault because I shouldn't have been in the situation, but also For the Greater Good, you're dead to me.
Cool.
All right, I'm done.
You done?
I mean, I could go on, but I think you want to move on.
I do want to move on slightly to,
Stick-
the topic of your least favorite cards in Monster Train.
I closed the game, goddammit.
I'll start For the Greater Good. Again, it reminds me of its former glory every time I see it. Even if the card is good or not, it's like, it's like your stepdad. That card is my stepdad. It just reminds me of my dad, and I hate it. What do you guys?
Wow.
What do you guys? I don't even have a stepdad. I don't. It was an analogy. It was a metaphor.
There's a lot of anger towards your non-existent stepdad. He sounds like a real piece of shit.
I'm going with Ember Forge. It's just like I have probably an unwarranted hate for the card just because it always is useless.
Gotta pull it up. Hold on.
I had a fun run with Emberforge where I like used it as a sketches unit and it was actually okay. But
That could work.
I think the cards I hate the most are the ones that were nerfed early on in the game where the nerf makes absolutely no sense.
Hey, don't talk about him like that.
Yeah, no, this is your glacial seal.
No,
Yeah. Like
my man.
there's a lot of cards like this, but I think Glacial Seal and Cycle of Life just frustrate me. Like Cycle of Life is an okay card, and then you look at Echo Infusion and you just go, why? Why Shiny Shoe? Why would you do this? And I always look at it and go, what? Look what they did to my lad. Like you used to be so good, and then Glacial Seal, I go, do you remember Glacial Seal and how bad it was when it was one ember?
Yeah.
Why did this happen? And
I,
that just drives me crazy.
I think I remember the Y for Glacial Seal at least. I'm sure
I
you have
remember
an idea.
I remember the why. The why is they increased the frostbite cap.
Yeah.
It was a counterbalance because they thought frostbite might become too strong because the cap got raised from 999 to 9999, and they thought that because of that, Glacial Sea would become too strong.
Yeah, and they were right. Glacial Seal. I think my most memorable Glacial Seal interaction is when I infused it onto an Offering Monument to do an infinite, and then realized that the infusion incant triggers after Offering Monument dies. AKA, it doesn't trigger, and I wasted 25 pack shards to have to do the infinite for just as long.
That is great.
I want to throw a card on the, not really my least favorite card, but a card on the, man, I can't believe they did this to him. Definitely One Hornstone.
At least it's still like a playable card sometimes.
I don't know, man. I feel like the use case became so significantly more narrow that I just don't even put up with it anymore. Like I know there are times where it is good, but I just can't be bothered.
It's weird. I think it would be just fine at 4 Ember.
Absolutely.
5 is like an unnecessary barrier to overcome, I think.
I-
And the
Yeah.
only reason it's still used is because it turns out multi-strike is good. So
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't deny that the card is good. I just think it's a little bit sad that it's still 5 Ember. I think that, and God, when the game started, I thought the multi-strike 1 for 4, I was like, damn, isn't this bad? but
I
it was
I
neat.
remember Voyix in our video, our first like video ever we did about like tier listing cards. We did like Hellhorn probably, and we were like,
Yeah.
One Horn's Tome stinks. And then our very next video, I think on Awoken, we were like, we would like to make an apology.
Yeah, I'd like to make a donation to the estate of One Horn's Tome and also a formal apology. I was
um,
misguided at the time.
it was pretty good. For me personally, I would prefer I think to see it stay 5 cost but remove fragile, as opposed to being 4 cost but keeping fragile. But I don't know.
Someone in my comments said they think that One Horn's Tome should just give like 10 sap or something like that.
That's
Which
interesting.
I thought that was an interesting idea, but I feel like I mean it's just like that's one ritual battle to offset it, but like
Mhm.
at 5 energy, that's a big cost. I don't know, just a thought that I saw today, and I went, "That's a good idea. I could see it."
I'm trying to think of what other cards I just absolutely despise in this game.
I should look.
There are the
Uh,
obvious ones. I
Yeah,
mean,
there are some cheating answers. Yeah,
yeah,
I will say the cycle of life is kind of mean. I get it; it's not good, but like it's only not good because again, it's like the stepdad compared to Echo Infusion's real father.
yeah, it just frustrates me. I see it. I look at it and I go, why? And then I see how bad spikes are in Awoken in general. You look at Sharpen and you think about Razor Sharp Edge. It's just stuff like that annoys me.
Hmm.
but think
I
about the 2
yeah.
you save on Razor Sharp Edge versus Sharpen.
Yeah, I know. It's not even like that bad of a card. Like Cycle of Life is fine. I can play it sometimes, and sometimes you have to in order to win, but it's just it doesn't feel good in its current form.
Hmm.
I've another weird one I probably could add is Paraffin Thug.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
yeah, it was like
Oh,
kind of
poor
usable pre DLC, but now it's just horrible.
I
poor guy.
it's funny. I love when I get a run where I can pop off with Paraffin Thug. I love it so much. I had one recently I recorded where it's just like I just made 1,000,000 gold because I was just killing everything with a Paraffin Thug. It has its moments, but I agree. Usually it means that you would have won with any other unit,
Right.
and there's no real reason for you to do Paraffin Thug other than to snowball. But it's fun when it works. So
I
One
had
of my
oh,
earliest Monster Train memories was coming into one of Cranberry's stream, like right after the game came out, and seeing, what was it, Paraffin Thug with multi-strike behind the Harvest Gold guy. And I went, holy shit, he's so rich. He was very rich.
I was about
Turns
to
out
talk
that was
about
awful.
About Whipless Tycoon too. And
Okay, yeah, that's his
do you feel
name.
like he's fallen off quite a bit too? I feel like kinda, but I think there's like
Yeah.
a role for him, and that's if you see this like on your Ring One unit draft trial, and there's nothing else good. You can like take it and use it for a little while to generate enough money to then buy a removal for him later. But I
I
don't
think
know.
Yeah,
that's basically my problem with him is like it's definitely better than Paraffin Thug, but I feel like at best it just pays for itself in the context of removing units. Um, I feel like it doesn't actually generate positive gold a lot of the time.
Someone needs to do a market analysis on how often Wickless Tycoon generates enough money to justify it existing in your deck in the
Right.
first place.
Right.
yeah, he's not great, but he's fine in the early game. I mean, he's got 25 hit points, which is actually pretty decent. So with like little investment, you can squeeze out of Talos or whatever using him, and then earn a bunch of cash, and it's actually okay. I don't know. I don't love him, but it's fine.
How do you guys feel about Legion of Wax? Legion of Wax is a weird one. I
Oh,
feel
that's
like
one I thought got a lot better in the DLC.
it got better because of like in like extinguish infusions and stuff like that that are really cool.
Right.
But I think it was a really strong unit before the DLC, and it was also a simple unit to play pre DLC. You would just pre DLC, you would just go large stone multi Legion of Wax, take the wheel, and it would just win the whole game for you. Maybe that's oversimplifying it a little bit, but that's kind of more or less how it went. I feel like most of the time. But now you need to do some crazy shenanigans with it to get it to work. But when it does work, it does really cool stuff for you still. So I don't know.
It's tough for me to say because I feel like I wasn't particularly that good pre DLC. So like I didn't have great experiences with Legion of Wax. Like it definitely was good in to Relentless, but I think I just found that it kind of leaked quite a lot and didn't deal with the waves very well. Whereas now I think there's two pretty common essences that you can put into it, either the Entombed Explosive or the Draft, which make it pretty powerful at clearing waves. But again, I wasn't really that good pre-DLC, so I could it's possible I just kind of shied away from learning how to really use Legion of Wax in its like vanilla form.
Yeah, I mean, it used to be fine, I think. The requirements to win a run were different. So you usually had to have something that dealt with floors elsewhere, and then he would just beat the hell out of your relentless problem because Seraph couldn't chunk through it. He also, because of the way the like attacks divided into his hit points, it would really screw over Patient Seraph or Arcus, which were kind of like the new big threats in the old game before the DLC came out. So I think he kind of like he was good. It was a good unit, but it played very differently than it does these days.
Mm-hmm. Have any of you guys
Nothing
ever
to
got?
add.
Oh, sorry. What's up, Voyix?
No, I mean, I guess the only thing I have to add, actually, I do have something to add. I've been playing a little bit of Legion of Wax Infusion on units, which has been kind of fun.
I was about to
Uh,
ask if anyone's ever gotten it to really pop off with the infusion.
yeah, I have. Hello, it's me. I had a run where I was playing Lady of the Reformed, and for some reason, I did not want to reform her. I don't remember why. And I put a Legion of Wax Infusion on her, and it basically halves the damage you take because it pops a little dude out and it harvests. So
Right.
it's fine.
Yeah, I did a similar with Wickless Baron. It
Hmm.
kind of has some synergy with itself too, and providing like a harvest every other hit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's always felt kind of weird to me because it's hard to like. I feel like when I play a harvest run, I usually don't have issues with getting the harvest triggers. I just play tombs or whatever. Like I don't know.
Sometimes you
Yeah.
miss.
I
Yeah,
think
obviously, yeah. Sometimes you
yeah.
miss.
I think the big thing about that particular one is that you need to think of it about as a super tank infusion because
Hmm.
it abuses bosses and because they have to hit once and then a dude
Mhm.
pops out and they waste half their damage, if not more, depending on how they attack and such. So if you can get a little bit of benefit with the harvest, just a little, you don't need a lot, and also need the tanking, it's actually really good. But yeah,
That is interesting. I should try to play it more. I think that is interesting. Um. Anyway, any other terrible cards you guys want to talk about?
How about all of the um, awoken rares that aren't named Steel Singer?
I was gonna say if I don't mention Wilting Sapwood here, someone's gonna yell at me. So Wilting Sapwood is an abysmal unit, and I wish it didn't exist. It's
I,
just so bad.
It was
I
one of
love
the last cards for me to stamp. I think it took a lot.
it. I just love that its essence is literally a lesser version of one of the already worse essences in the game.
Hmm.
It's basically just train steward infusion.
Well, it's like the consumer essence, but less health, less damage, and less ember.
Hmm.
How dare you? It's actually the same amount of health. I just looked it up. It's 10 health for both of them. So
Ah,
you are a
crap.
liar.
Now I gotta go repent for my sins.
Mm.
Yeah.
I think the shard channeler infusion can be kind of cool sometimes.
And Dusk, you had like I remember in one of the game nights we did in my Discord, you had a Shard Channeler Infusion carry run.
Yeah, I put shard channelers infusion into bogfly eggs and then spawned
Yeah.
like 6 of them. Yeah.
Yeah,
God,
that's
that
sick.
shit was so cool.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's pretty good if you can. It's not as bad as some other things if you can actually take advantage of it. So,
Mhm.
but
Superfood primordium, maybe. I don't know. There's probably some cool ways, some cool things you can do with it, but generally shard channeler very stinky. Vine mother. I don't know. I everyone's talking smack about wilting
and
sapwood. Vine mother also sucks.
Yeah.
Vine Mother is fine, is the
No,
way
it's
I
not.
describe
How
it.
dare you?
She's not great, but she is the best two-space tank in the clan if you don't have sentient. Full stop. So, and sometimes that's good. I actually have a run that I think is going to go up in a couple days that uses her really well. So,
I'm gonna be the contrarian here and disagree with Dusk. What about Husk Hermit?
I mean, he's not as good as Vine Mother though.
There's 5 less HP, but you get the utility of sometimes killing backline for free.
Yeah, but you don't get free draw power is the
That is
thing.
true. That is true. I
Like
guess
the
so.
and like the one thing that I think gets undersold about stings in general, and people sometimes ask me, why do I think taking a sting is better than skipping a card? And it's because there's so many synergies in the clan for stings. If you pick up thorn casing or anything along the way, it would have otherwise been useful or useless to you rather. But as soon as you have that with Vine Mother, she just crushes things where you're killing enemies entirely with stings that she's generating and then drawing around because of it.
Mhm. I still hate it, but you are
That's fair.
correct. She's very smug in her stupid little vine cocoon.
That I'll
Yeah.
give you that.
A counterpoint, Vine Mother's a bitch. I hate her.
Yeah. Um. Okay. One other topic I think I want to talk about here before we wrap this up, because this is, of course, it's taking longer than I expected.
No, I don't believe it.
One thing I want to talk about here is, how do you guys feel about the 200 shard meta, just in general? Because I think that's kind of where people have decided that this game's Ascension 20 heart runs are, right? People are like, 200 shards is like the standardized high difficulty run now.
I'll start here by saying I actually hate them. I don't think they're great. I think that the game's balance is very clearly built around 100 shards, and I can, literally tell you that there was no 200 shard balance considerations made. There were none of those. And for good reason, because that's not what they expected people to do. They opened this up because I don't know, someone will maybe want to have fun with it. And so I think that it's bad because it takes bad units, makes them worse, takes bad cards, makes them worse. It polarizes the good things to being really good. And I think it actually removes strategy because the way you have to play the game is you have to play a lot more heavy handed. You must commit earlier to a strategy and just hope it's the one that wins. And the other thing I don't like is that it requires some Hail Marys. You have to go, well, I don't know. Let me just go to every trinket shop and hey, if I hit Ashes of the Fallen, eventually it'll be good. And I don't think it's a very enjoyable way to play the game. I strongly prefer the 100 shard meta.
Okay. Gabriel, any additional thoughts there?
I mean yeah, it was fun. I will say I got kind of bored of doing it toward the end of, I guess, my 200 shard little stint there, but uh definitely agree with a lot of what Dusk just said. I might add that it really makes certain rings and bosses particularly harder. Like, I think rings 4 and 5 are just typically a nightmare in 200 shard runs,
Yeah.
especially like the multi-strike boss. If you can't daze it or do something wild, it will just cut through your stuff like butter. And Diligent is ridiculous too on a lot of them.
Oh
Like,
my
he gets
god.
so much stealth.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. I think it polarizes everything. And you're right. I think rings 4 and 5 become terrifying. 4 especially. All
Yeah,
of them, even like the stupid thought binder becomes threatening, but
right.
especially
Ton of Ember Drain.
yeah, you lose a whole turn that you weren't expecting to lose, and the multi-strike dude, Firelight Master, he doesn't mess
Article.
around. Like, you have over 100 shards at that point, he's hitting 3 times and beats the hell out of you, so
Yep.
I have played one 200 pack shard run in my life. I did it because people kept saying, "Hey, are you ever going to do 200 pack shards?" And I kept saying no. And eventually I had a run where I was like, I think it was on stream, and I was like, okay, if there's an Apex Imp in this Hellhorn banner, it was my last banner, and the run looked really bad. And I was like, if there's an Apex Imp here, I'll play 200 pack shards. And there was. And I played Apex Imp, and it was an easy run. However, basically everything that you guys have said, I think that the game is very clearly not designed for 200 pack shards, and it closes down a lot of winning lines. I also think that a lot of times, for me anyway, because I am going through a bit of a relearning of the game right now because I've been playing pretty poorly, I feel. I find that a lot of times for me, the best play and like the losing decision on a run is just I took too many pack shards. And so forcing yourself into taking more pack shards just for content feels really frustrating to me. I would not, like, if I lost a run because, oops, I went to 100 pack shards for the 200 shards run rule, I would just get mad at myself. So I know that I will not be doing them because I think they would make me very upset. However, I do think that something that's fun to bring up is Hell Rush, where pack shards are worth score then, and it becomes a really interesting, like, pushing the envelope game.
Yeah, trying to fly as close to the sun as
Yeah.
possible.
Hmm.
Yep.
Mhm.
I think that's a
Yeah.
good point. I think that the leaderboards encourage you to push as hard as you can on the dailies, and a lot of times people who are good at those kind of just naturally just click everything in the normal game, and that's how you get the 200 shard quote unquote meta. But yeah, I don't see it as, I don't think it is the meta that I will settle on personally. I enjoy the base game too much in its current form.
Yeah.
And I guess I will say that the 200 shard, it did have some cool stuff. Like it was kind of cool to be able to kind of be reckless with some of the cards that you could formulate. But I think it taught me a few things. It taught me kind of which type of card combos are typically worth the shards, if that makes sense. Like what's actually worth if you're forced to try to spend shards, like which things are you like kind of giddy to get? Because like, oh yeah, I gotta actually put these shards to something useful. And the odd thing I found was like train steward infusion just to get rid of a train steward, not that not that unworthy of 25 shards. It's kind of weird. Like it made me, I guess, like both the purge for 10 and just blowing a 25 shard on train stewards a little bit more than I thought I would. Because I would end up with just really thin decks by the end of it all. Um, that is, I guess, one advantage of the 200 shard runs, but overall, it doesn't really outweigh the amount of difficulty you're adding typically.
I hate having to use the train steward infusions to reach 200 shards. It actually, in my opinion, it's funny because you said that, and I actually felt it was the opposite because I would have to hold on to train stewards for longer to have their infusions for ring 8 so that I could have an infusion at every temple to reach 200 shards. And it was actually hurting me throughout the run and would only benefit me at the end.
Now, I haven't been doing the 200 shard runs that long. I think I've been maybe done like 6 or 7 episodes now of them. I think roughly around there, and I've noticed that too. Right? There's like someone asked me like, "Hey, why are you doing this train steward infusion instead of taking like an extreme stone instead?" Besides the obvious part of like the infusions worth more shards, right? Like, why are you not let's just like looking for more just general upgrades to your run rather than like doing this with train stewards? I think there are some cool nuances to it, right? There's sort of like this whole, well, I don't want to load up on shards too early in the game because then I get to ring 4 and Party Boy rips my head off and yeah, right. Like there's some cool elements to like trying to route your run. There's an extra element of routing, I guess, where it's like you're trying to figure out like, okay, I need to make sure I take these shards here. I have X amount of temples in the run, so I can try to probably get roughly, however many shards later on. There's some cool things to it. And I haven't played enough to have an actual real opinion on it yet. I think it's kind of neat though, but I don't know. Uh, I will say that um, I don't. I agree that it's definitely not designed around being played at 200 shards. That's pretty obvious. Definitely not designed for that. It's. I feel like it's not even the game's not even entirely designed for 100 shard runs, right? Like you can see, Glacial Seal, right? That man's not doing shit ever. There's some things that aren't designed around it, but do you think that Slay the Spire was like designed around Ascension 20 heart runs?
No.
Oh
No,
yeah.
it was designed around Ascension 15. and then they added Ascension 20 later because people wanted it to be harder.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think even they started on Ascension 10 like super early, right?
I don't remember. I don't think I was even playing it when that happened, but I think it's fair to say that it's not necessarily a bad thing for the meta to be harder than the game was designed for. I think people want that, right? When it comes to viewing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it doesn't make it fun to play.
Yeah, I think that it's just really about, for me, the big thing is just fewer cards are good, and
Mhm.
it exacerbates all the problems that the game already kind of experiences at 100. And when you're playing the game as much as we are, that kind of thing wears on you, in my opinion. So,
That's actually an incredible segue to my secret last question. Uh, how long do you guys think you're gonna keep playing Monster Train for?
And
Anyone?
you want the real answer to this question?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Yeah, as long as people watch me.
That's an extremely fair answer.
yeah.
I don't I don't really like people often hear me talk about Monster Train because sometimes I get frustrated. I'm not mad at the game. I'm usually mad at myself because I have like 2,000 hours in the game and I died of dumb shit that I've died to 100 times. But it's just sort of how I play the game at this point. Uh, Ultimately, I'm never going to quit the game because it would not be good for my channel to quit Monster Train. And it's not like it's a crazy time commitment to say I'm going to pick 45 minutes out of my day and play a run of Monster Train. It's not like a big deal. So I'll play it until the viewership numbers drop. And I don't know if that'll ever happen. So, you know, 10 years. In 2032, if I'm still playing Monster Train, I'm uninstalling the game. Final
Cool.
answer.
Okay. Good answer. Good answer.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I just still enjoy it. It's fun. I like setting aside the time and playing it, and I think I enjoy it a lot more now than pre DLC. So the current meta is enjoyable, and so I play it. And recording is basically me just talking to my computer while I play a game I'd already be playing. So it's not a big deal for me. Now, how long will I do that? That's a great question. How long will the game still be fun? I don't know. I wouldn't have never expected that I'd be playing a game for 2,000 hours that's a card game like this, but here we are. So,
Okay, Gabriel. Trying to dodge the question here. I see.
Yeah, I'm trying not to give a depressing answer here.
Uh huh.
I guess I I'm kind of struggling. I guess kind of with kind of what Voix kind of predicted is where I'm at right now. Like I've just steadily kind of seen my Monster Train views go lower and lower over the past few months. So that combined with like just struggling to come up with content has had me wondering how much longer I really am going to do Monster Train. I even stopped putting out videos for a few days, but I have a few ideas to at least do some last things that I wanted to do with Monster Train. Like I got some like mutator runs coming up that I think can at least like I guess where I'm at right now is I'm basically doing it kind of just for myself and kind of the people that have stuck by as the channel kind of dwindles. But I'm still on the lookout for other games. I would love Inkbound. I mean, I can't really say much about it, but if it ever gets to a point where we're allowed to like make videos on it, I'd love to make some Inkbound videos. But yeah, I guess Monster Train is still my favorite game, so it's not like I'm not having fun with it. But from an actual like content creation perspective, I'm kind of at the end of my rope. I feel there's just not a whole lot more that I feel I can bring to the table.
Yeah. I mean,
Hopefully
I
that.
feel you on that, honestly. I was in a similar position with Ratropolis for a long time, which was the first series I did on my channel, where like over time interest in that game dwindled, and eventually I reached a point where I was like, I don't think I'm having fun with this anymore. And when you're not doing it for yourself, yeah, I think it is, you know, that's the indicator where you're like, I don't want to do this anymore, and then you stop. But as long as you're having fun, I don't think it matters. People will watch.
Right.
Boys, did you stop playing Ratropolis before you started playing Monster Train? Was there a gap in between? I thought it kind of segued.
It segued, but it was
Okay.
more like I got to a point with Retropolis where I was like, they released the new mode, and I was playing a little bit of it, and I was like, man, I'm so fucking sick of this game. Because like Retropolis is an extremely nuanced game, but I could spend like 15 minutes talking about all the weird shit in Retropolis, but Like my early Monster Train videos did not do super well, so it wasn't like they did better than Retropolis, but it wasn't by a crazy amount. So I just kind of made the shift because I went, hey, this is a card game that's more fun to me anyway. So I'm gonna move on to something else now.
I'm definitely gonna play it for at least a little bit longer. Uh, I don't know. I haven't thought about it too much. I'm still having a decent amount of fun with the game. Sometimes it's a little frustrating, but I enjoy it for the most part. I have like one checklist run I need to do still. I want to run where I use Bone Shine to pretty much have my Pyre solo carry.
I was telling Dusk about this today.
Really?
Yeah, we were talking
Literally
about that.
today, I DM'd him about this.
That's like a checklist run I need to do in the game. I need to get some sort of crazy high, like I don't know, Kindle loop to generate a ton of energy, and then have like Vapor Funnel and Bone Shine. I need to do
Oh,
that.
Yeah.
I need to do that. It's important for my soul. I need to do that at least once in the game. Every time I take Bone Shine, it's never good.
Might I suggest that you use Bone Rattler instead of Bone
Oh,
Shine?
whatever. You know the things. Frick off. I don't know the card names. I think we've already established that.
Just cut the video right there.
That would be pretty good, but no. That's a pretty important one for me to do. I joke about the Battle Forge, the Ember Forge, like offensive carry run. That one would be fun if I ever got it to work, but it's not that important to me. The Pyre killing everything win is pretty important. That I wanna make that happen someday. And once I do that, and then also once I stop having fun with the game, it's fucking done. It's over forever. If people are still watching and I get that and I'm not having fun, the series is over. But I don't know.
You've also been pretty successful recently with the kind of Vampire Survivor-esque games, right? So it's like you kind of have something
An
that
exit
might,
ramp.
right?
Yeah, but like here's the thing though too. Those games have not even just like for me across all of YouTube, as far as I can tell, they've had pretty dwindling viewership.
Mm.
I think it's going to be a lot like Slay the Spire, how Vampire Survivors came onto the scene, everyone loves it, and I think people are going to be very resilient to migrating away from it. I don't want to say Monster Train got lucky, but I think that it's a great game. Monster Train is I think probably and again my favorite deck builder, but by like most people's metrics, probably the second best deck builder out there, and it's probably not even close. It's like, or I'll say Slay the Spire and Monster Train are pretty close, and then third place is not even close.
Right.
There's
Yeah,
a
I
couple
agree
you
with
can
that.
probably name off here that are like okay, but still barely holding up to Monster Train probably.
Retropolis?
I
I mean,
couldn't
I
even
never
name-
played it.
Yeah.
My third pick would be Rogue Book if we were picking a third place game.
I think it's an okay choice. I might go Gordian Quest over because I had a lot of fun playing it, but then I also lost my save file and promised people I would definitely play it again and haven't since.
Yeah, I didn't promise. I just said, yeah, I'm not playing that game anymore.
But it's a I don't know, what other deck builders are there?
Vault of the Void is a good pick. That's like I feel like that's the enlightened intellectual pick.
Tainted Grail, is that a thing? Isn't that a thing? Isn't that a game?
Oh yeah, that's the game that's like 90 gigs.
Sick.
Good grief.
Nice.
Yeah, I looked at that game. It's the King Arthur game, and I was like, oh, this game looks kind of cool. I think it's that one, right? It was like the King Arthur RPG game, and I was like, this looks kind of cool. And then I looked at the download size, and I went, never mind. Is it Tainted Grail? No, I am thinking of a different game.
What am I thinking
Tainted
of?
Grail is not the game I was thinking of.
Is it the game I was thinking of?
It
King
is,
Arthur.
yes. This is definitely it.
Let me make sure. Oh, hell yeah, it is.
Is it called King Arthur? I think you might be right.
No, I think it's Tainted Grail.
Yeah, no, the game that I'm thinking of is Knight's Tale.
Oh no,
They rhyme.
Knight's Tale. Okay.
King Arthur Knight's Tale is what I was thinking of. That's
Anyway.
the game that's 90 gigs.
Anyway, stop talking
Yeah.
about that. The video's over.
Hey, I got a topic. Wait, when
Oh,
do I
what's
get to
up?
write in a question of the radio show?
Okay, here's your chance.
Okay, so I have a this is a real topic. This is not a meme topic.
Okay.
I think that Monster Train suffers from a problem, and that problem to me is that there is RNG in the shops. However, if you were to remove the RNG from the shops in the current build of the video game, I think the game would enter a like near 100% win rate for people who aren't Dusk as well as people who are Dusk. So I think that so what I'm saying is sometimes I pick a run and I go, man, I hope I see multi-strike, and then you go 3 shops dry and lose the run, right? And that's frustrating. And I think that it's a very hard problem to fix, and I wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, I don't know how to fix that. Like you're right, and
So
it's like
while you guys were talking, I was thinking the answer that would fix that is a super divinity boss, an even harder boss after the last divinity, that makes it so that like, because if you add in the ability to reroll shops as many times as you want, I think the game becomes too easy. However, uh, I think that the answer is honestly to make the divinity harder. And just like, I think that, I don't know if it's just increasing the numbers. I don't know. I feel like Relentless limits the game because in a game like Slay the Spire, you can live forever. You can have a turn or a combat in Slay the Spire go for as long as you want. Like you can just keep going. There's no hard like relentless stops you. And I think that it would be interesting to see them do something like expand the duration of combats, like add 2 more waves to every combat or something like that. I don't know. I just wanted to bring that up and see what you guys thought.
I mean, Dusk mentioned it in the survey before that there was like potential for an endless mode in the game. Maybe that's kind of what you want, more control over what you're getting, and then you just want infinitely scaling difficulty, so that way
No,
eventually the game beats you.
I hate endless modes.
Yeah, me too. Like I hate them as well. Like usually
I've never played
they're
endless mode in a video game willingly.
I don't know.
I
No,
I think
yeah, go
I
ahead,
think
please.
I like, I guess, the variants, but what I don't like is I don't like how powerful multi-strike is just in a
Yeah,
general sense. Like it just doesn't make sense to me when you look at like Furnace Tap, you look at One Harm Tome, you look at basically every essence that gives multi-strike, and they come with these significant downsides. So clearly comparatively, any essence that gives endless or quick, or a spell like Quick Tome or Endless Tome, there's no downside and they're cheap to do. Clearly, like they know that multi-strike
Mhm.
is way more powerful than those things in a general sense. So it's like, um, it just should cost. If multi-strike's going to exist in the Merchant of Steel, I would just like it to get like significantly nerfed. Like there needs to be some sort of a downside with it.
I've come up with the solution. I've solved it. You
okay,
ready?
ready.
I'm
So,
ready.
part one. Remove multi-strike from the shop in general. There's only 3 upgrades there now. Quick,
Okay,
endless, large stone.
I
Right?
like that.
Right? We get rid of it. Not an issue anymore. They're all balanced. Even though that's not true. Quick, I think, is the best. Or I guess quick and endless are the best out of the 2 of those 3. And they vary sometimes. But anyway, so you get rid of multi-strike from the shop. You then give every single unit in the game 1 extra strike.
Ooh.
That's how you solve it. Every unit has multi-strike now.
Cranberry, you just want to play Alpha Fiend, don't you?
Shut up.
I'll be honest. I think the right answer is actually not to touch multi-strike at all. I think that I agree with Gabriel that multi-strike is too strong, but I also think that the game has existed in its current form for too long that I think nerfing multi-strike in the shop would actually hurt the game overall. I
I
think
agree.
what should be done instead, in my opinion, is change large stone to something better, because the problem is actually not that you're missing multi-strike, it's that multi-strike is the only good pick for what you're doing, right?
Mhm.
if
Yeah.
if something like large stone actually did something meaningful in a vast majority of cases, I don't know, I've talked about maybe like trample in this slot before, and or something like that, then
Sweep.
right, sweep would be disgusting,
I
but
Yeah.
can't do
It
that.
you
had to be
can't do
sweep with
that.
it had to be sweep with like a -20 to attack or something.
What if you
That's
could?
actually too strong still. It would just completely destroy the game.
Okay,
But
well, what if I want to destroy the game, Dusk? Like,
Yeah. How about
you
an
know,
upgrade in the steel shop that reverts for the greater good?
oh,
there
that's
you
a good
go.
one. That's a good
Oh,
one.
I'd pay double
Yeah.
for that.
I mean, to your point, Dusk, I think I think that that is the exact correct thing to say. It's not that multi-strike is too strong, it's that there's a clear imposter among us in the steel shop.
Mhm.
Uh, I don't know. I almost feel like the answer might even just be remove large stone from the game, but hard to say, isn't it?
I, I,
That's
I,
fair.
I think that's a bad solution. Kind of. I think straight removing it is not good, and I think the reason for that is something that we haven't really talked about at all in this video that I usually like talking about. I think is that my understanding, and Dusk probably has more insight that he's not allowed to tell us about in regards to this. My understanding is that the devs of the game mainly balance the game towards the lower covenant levels, right? Like I assume they take all data into account, but the data they care about the most is balance at the lower levels. And I imagine there, Larstone's probably sick. Larstone probably performs extremely well in low covenant play. So I don't know.
They actually have talked about this on like a Twitch stream before, so it's not like I have to do anything fancy here. But they balance around all levels of gameplay. The problem is, I think Largestone fell behind, and I actually think it does underperform markedly at all levels. Right, at every level, Covenant 1, Covenant 0, Covenant 25, people want to hit another time. It's just a thing.
Oh, yeah, I'm not saying
And
that Larstone is better at lower covenants, not by a long shot, but I think it's more playable probably.
you can get away with a lot more mistakes at low levels, yes. So you could play a bunch of bad stuff and still win, and that definitely changes the metrics a little bit. But yeah, I think I think it's a fair take, but I personally think that if you could replace large stone with something that at least competed with multi-strike, you would see a lot less problems. It would resolve the issue of I'm going to a shop and getting no value, right? Which
Mm-hmm.
is the main issue, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree. But I feel like the other side of the coin though is that at times I feel like the game might become too consistent is all. Because then you're removing one of the big question marks. What I would have liked to have seen actually is I don't mind leaving the shops as are. I would have liked to have seen that each clan got a playable multi-strike.
That's kind of
Because
interesting.
I feel like a multi-strike infusion, I should say, because I feel like Animus of Will is a very clear standout infusion, and well, what Draft is playable in some cases, and then the rest of them are like, I mean, when's the last time you saw it, Gorgon, and then went, oh yeah, I'm going to use this for multi-strike? It just doesn't happen.
I've done it like once, but yeah, you're right. It doesn't really
I've
happen.
never done it, but
Um,
yeah, I just feel like it would be nice if there was a uncommon unit that gave multi-strike and was like pickable in every clan.
That's fair.
That's it.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. If it were findable, I think putting it on a rare unit is unfortunate, and that obviously hurts Stygian a bunch. But but yeah, I guess compared to Animus of Will, which obviously is the superior choice here. But yeah,
Yeah, and like fragile on Hellhorned is something that like specifically cross clan putting Horn Warrior onto like an Awoken sweeper ruins Awoken's plan, which is usually to heal through damage. It's just like, oh, well, all damage kills my Husk Hermit now, so sucks.
what's that? The final boss
yeah.
has sweep? Oh no.
So do I. They cancel out, right?
Oh.
Mhm.
I don't know. That's weird.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring it up. It was like if we're gonna have a general discussion about the game, I wanted to talk about the shops.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Isn't it kind
I
of weird that like the magic shops also, in my opinion, kind of have the same issue with holdover being like the standout best upgrade in them, but it feels like you're usually never relying on a holdover spell nearly as badly as you are on multi strike on a unit. I guess it doesn't. I guess the power imbalance is less, but it's still kind of like a thing. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I feel you on that. I do think in general, double stack and consumer move keep up with holdover a lot better than the other upgrades keep up with multi strike. But definitely, there's just some strategies that without a holdover, they're very hard to pull off. Like the most common one would probably be apparels of
Mhm.
production.
Hmm.
Not impossible to pull off without holdover, but it's quite hard to do it without holdover.
Ones I can think of off the top of my head, perils, Hallowed Halls, and I had a third one and I forgot it already. Oh, Frenzied Swarm. Frenzied Swarm. Three very important cards that have holdover on
All
it. They're
right.
the crux of your run. You kind of need them. But you can maybe get away with like a double stack on a Frenzied Swarm and just having a really thin deck. I don't know.
So I think the difference is that you can mitigate the holdover, because holdover is more of just something that's nice to have, and you can mitigate the holdover problem by just making the card that you would want to hold over slightly better by giving like another -1 and then making two more of it because of duplicates. Where because of how the game works, if you were to go, well, I missed multi-strike, but I'm just gonna duplicate my Husk Hermit two more times, you're gonna have two 530 sitting on the floor going, hey boss, what are we doing? So it's a problem of it's harder to scale because scaling is coming from cards usually, and it's harder to scale a unit when most of those scaling plans are single target card buffs. I find.
Maybe that's a solution. Maybe more AoE card buffs, more fledgling imps out there. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, we're talking about how do you vastly rebalance the video game to achieve a more near perfect balance, and the answer is, I don't know, dude. They're mechanic bound.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair.
Fair, yeah.
Play Dusk's balance patch.
Yeah, actually. I honestly, I've thought about the meta shifting for me, and I think the meta shift for me might just be to go play the rebalance patch when I'm sick of the regular game.
That's a
I
good
mean,
point. Yeah, thank you,
yeah, there you
Dusk.
go. Yeah, I'm happy to have it. I haven't played it in a while because I don't know, I've been recording a lot more of the normal game and those series just perform better. But yeah, the balance patch, I think it's in really good state. There's only a couple changes I would make right now, and they're just not significant enough that I've put out another version for it right now. So
Yeah. And I can open the balance patch and look at a change and go, hey, I remember talking about this at one point.
yeah.
I was here.
I
Like
actually,
Clink.
I actually can't believe we almost forgot to talk about Tethys.
Yeah, I was
Oh,
gonna say, can you believe we made it through a whole video without talking about Tethys or Little
I,
Fade?
I have, I have a solution for Tethys. I came up with it, by the way.
Is
I
it
figured out.
remove
I
champions
solved.
from your
No,
deck?
I solved Tethys. I know how to fix Tethys. So I don't know. I don't know if you want to do it with all the Tethys lines, but I think Tethys 3 for all of them, or maybe just Conduit. I don't know, just whatever. I think Tethys should at the third stage phase out, but then still give you whatever its like effect is. So it should still phase out, so it'll be there. It can't be hit, and it will lower the cost of your card still. That's my solution. Thank you for coming to my TED talk.
I think the Band-Aid fix that I would do, which ultimately I think it's better to just leave them bad, but the Band-Aid fix that I would do if you were like, fix this, but you don't have a lot of time, is I would make it so that Hornbreaker Prince, yeah, I'm bringing him into this too, and
Okay,
also Tethys are allowed to get Steel Shop upgrades.
kind of
Just get,
interesting.
Yeah, that
just
would
give,
help.
yeah, I mean, imagine Tethys, but you can give her a +25. What a great champion.
That would be sick. That would be really
Honestly,
cool.
just give Tethys 10 more HP and she's probably playable because she's really strong if it wasn't for the fact that she was so garbage.
Maybe more than 10, but I do agree. Uh, I don't know. Like sweep Tethys needs a lot of HP to not get absolutely murdered by the first spike wave on
Yeah.
the divinity. So
Yeah.
it's tough. I don't
No,
know.
I agree.
I like my idea
interesting.
because I feel like it's cool because she becomes a ghost.
She does that in all of my runs too,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah, yeah.
True.
All right, now how do we fix Little Fade to make her good?
It's gonna be really tough, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
there's
don't
a
think
lot.
you can make that champion playable.
That's another thing I want to talk about that I forgot to mention. Going back to the 200 shard run thing, I think there's a genuine argument to make that in the 200 shard meta, that Primordium might be the better champion between the two. But again, I haven't played enough to have a definitive opinion.
Oh,
But I feel like Little Fade might fall off a little bit, mainly because I'm not sure that she can keep up with the high shard counts sometimes.
I,
But I don't know.
I actually have strong opinions on this one.
Ooh,
I agree with your first assessment that Little Fate is that she falls in 200 shard runs, but I also think Primordium does as well.
interesting.
It's Spine Chief that I think maintains like the king role.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. It's basically the runs where you're forced to take shards early. Little Fade can have a really rough time in rings 1 and 2, especially depending on what path you have to go down. Like think like Icarus. but you can't get any slays because of either backliners with 5 health or something like that. It's just kind of a nightmare. or Firelight
Yeah.
where you draw bad and oh, there's 16 damage to my fire or whatever.
Yep. Those are great points. And I still think that they're consistently good enough to win. They're very strong champions, but it's hard and it determines a lot based on how your node generates, right? Because
Yeah.
if you get a backloaded run, no problem. If you get a
Right.
front loaded run, you're going to have a bad time. And you might
Yeah.
seriously consider like Eternal Flame instead of Firelight, where
Oh, yeah.
normally Firelight would be a slam dunk.
Right. Yeah, and really Eternal Flame is just the safe call at 200 shards. But basically the perfect storm, kind of as you outlined there, is like a run where the shards are all front loaded and you just don't get offered endless. You're in a rough spot there. And no like additional reform or burnout extension to just make Firelight even more risky.
Yeah, again, I haven't played many 200 shard runs yet, so I don't have a great. I haven't even played all the champions on 200 shard runs yet, so I don't know. But I have played one of both of them, and they both are still obviously very strong yet. But I think there's probably a genuine argument to make that maybe one has overtaken the other. I don't know about Spine Chief yet. I that might be one I haven't played at all yet, or maybe I played like once. That sounds like that you blown my mind. I need to think about it more. But it is interesting.
I'm pretty high on Spine Chief in general though, so there's definitely some bias there. Like even in the base game, I kind of almost wonder if Spine Chief is actually just kind of on par with Little Fade. That's kind of been my thoughts past few
Okay, we
months.
got to get this guy out of here. Hold on. How do I
Chief
remove
is
someone
in-
from the call?
Yeah, Chief is incredible though. I'll give him some credit. I love playing him and I think that he's extremely strong. I I still think I have him at around number 4 top champion, but it's close up there at the top.
Anyway, this is not a tier list video. Stop making it a tier list video.
All
All
right,
right,
fair
and then
enough.
all right, now where do you guys put Ensnare on the
Stop
list?
it.
No, that's S. That's S for
Yeah,
sure.
that's an S plus for
Thank
sure.
God,
Like that's
we-
got to be one of the
How do
strongest
I?
cards in the
Okay.
game.
Thank you.
For
Thank you
sure.
for watching the video. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed watching it. You guys want to do any plugs or something? We should have done those at the start of the video. Probably pretty rude of me to not let you do cool plugs.
I'm renegotiating my contract.
Okay. Please, someone go first.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we're all recording Monster Train. Woo!
Yeah.
That's there's a plug.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't
okay.
play just Monster Train. I have another
semi-successful
series now.
Yeah,
Cool,
Into the
cool.
Breach. It's been
Yeah, that game's sick.
pretty lit.
How's
Yeah,
that series going for you?
It's doing well. It's like every now and then someone will leave me a comment and be like, "Man, I know this doesn't get as many views as Monster Train, but like I really love this series." And I'm like, "Brother, it is doing like 3 times as
Yeah,
in terms of
more.
analytics, that game does about 6 times as better as Gordian Quest did for me, and also I love it. So it's a pretty no-brainer."
I thought
That's
it's
amazing.
isn't it pretty much getting now like as many views as Monster Train for you? I thought it was about
At
6 times.
the beginning it was actually doing very well, and also the videos tend to catch up over time. Like people
Yeah.
seem to like the video, like the Into the Breach video that I uploaded 10 days ago is about where a Monster Train episode would be, but like the videos that I put up last week are not caught up yet. However, I think it's also just a thing where people sometimes like certain squads seem to do better than other squads, I think, but
Right.
I don't know.
Hey,
You know what I
this
wanna
is not an
plug?
Into the Breach video.
Hey,
Monster
anyway,
Train.
I want to plug Dusk for giving me the good Into the Breach thumbnail idea of breaking the series up into individual parts like that.
Oh hell
Go
yeah!
check out Dusk, youtube.com/c/RisingDusk.
Okay,
Is
go
there an
check.
underscore there or no?
No, there's not.
There's an underscore on Twitch, right?
Yeah, the underscore is on the end on Twitch because I don't have the normal one.
Yeah, that's what I thought. All right, youtube.com/c/RisingDusk.
Go
That's what I'm
to
plugging today.
www.com/youtube.voyix69 to find Voyix. You can
That's
find 800 tier list videos. They're all terrible.
Yep, awful.
Uh,
Don't listen to my opinions.
www.com/Gabriot for Gabriot's apparently ending Monster Train series. And what have you been? You've been playing Hellblast Tactics or whatever, right? Hellfire
it's-
Shenanigans.
It sucks though because the beta ended and I can't play it anymore.
Oh, was that just a beta?
Yeah, it was a beta. It's like it's gonna start up again, I think, in a week or two. But yeah, it sucks. All the momentum just died.
Dang.
Mm,
I
Well,
also
someone
did
in my
horrible in the
Discord,
tournament. I got like
someone in
last
my
place in the
Discord,
tournament.
yeah, got like a third place in that tournament.
Yeah, Jeff. Jeff
Yeah.
was he was doing pretty good.
hey, no free shout outs for Jeff.
Hey, come on. He posts funny memes in my Discord.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay. Also subscribe to the video.
Hmm.
I don't know. Okay, I'm turning it off.
Cranberry, you forgot to plug yourself.
Goodbye.